.7, Andy and Tasha, 7:53 up to 79 today, 67 right now. Chance of thunderstorms, I guess, or is that kind of over now? Todd Heitkamp is on the phone with us from the National Weather Service. Morning, Todd.
Morning, guys. How are you?
Pretty good. So, I texted you yesterday, and I was just wanting to know, the one question I really wanted to ask you was, why the hell has this been happening over the course of the last 5 days?
Well, a lot of people have been asking the same question and saying, is this unprecedented? Has it happened before? And yeah, it has happened. June is typically our severe weather season, but when you compile the severe weather threat that we've had the past couple of days, like the hail, the wind, the tornadoes, along with the flooding that's been going on with the heavy rain, that is getting in unprecedented territory, and I wish I could give you an answer on why it's happening, other than the fact that typically this time of year is what our most severe weather time of the year actually is. So
it's just kind of to borrow a movie title, it's kind of the perfect storm of conditions coming together here for a little bit right over our heads? Yeah,
it was. Yeah, it's very similar to Tornado Tuesday, except for that event, it was such a widespread tornado event. This one here, for a number of series of days, we had to deal with the possibility of heavy rain, which would have then aggravated the already nasty flooding situation, and then you throw the hail, and then also the past couple of days, the tornado threat on top of that. It is. I hate to call any storm a perfect storm, but I think a lot of people understand what that analogy actually means.
Yeah. As far as Westington Springs goes, I think most people by now have seen the photos, very widespread damage. Has that tornado been rated yet?
Not yet. We had one of our employees up there last night looking at the damage and that, and hopefully by later on this afternoon, that rating will be officially released from the office. But I rated the Humboldt tornado of Tuesday night yesterday, and it looks like this Westington Springs tornado is going to be slightly stronger than what the Humboldt tornado was.
Explain the rating system for tornadoes for people who don't understand. I kind of understand it, but not completely.
Well, really, it's not like a hurricane where we can actually put weather instruments in the middle of the hurricane to find out really how strong those winds actually are.
Right.
With a tornado, we have no idea how strong the winds are, so we have to go back after the tornado moves through the area and look at the damage that was caused or created by that tornado, and then based upon that damage that we see, we get an idea on how strong the winds had to be to create that amount of damage. Mm. We look at, like homes and how well they were built, and whether or not they were anchored to the foundation, how far things were tossed, what damage was done to trees and other buildings. All those things, I basically play CSI, if you will, the next day or following the tornado occurrence to give you a good idea on really what occurred with the tornado as it was moving through that community.
So with the EF2 tornado, what winds your estimate would be of what speed?
Yeah, the Humboldt tornado was an EF2 tornado, and the wind speeds would be right around 125 miles an hour. And people say, "Oh, that's not that bad." Well, all you have to do is go out and look at that, the damage that occurred from that, and then you'll find out really what 125 mile an hour wind will actually do. So that's where we sit there and look at the damage that went through, Westington Springs last night. Again, I really think that the fact that people had been experiencing severe weather the past couple of days and that they realized that the threat was real, so that any time a warning was issued, they were taking it seriously. And so when we issued the warning at 7:25 and the tornado went through Westington Springs at 7:45, the good thing is people heeded that warning and got themselves to the place of safety, and thankfully no one was killed, and I guess there's been a few minor injuries, but at least nothing significant.
That double tornado that happened in Nebraska, how often does that happen?
That's pretty rare, quite honestly, Tanya. It's it's down what you're talking is a Pilger tornado down there that occurred Monday night. It's very seldom that you see something of two tornadoes of that strength and magnitude, but it has happened before, but not in recent history. Let's put it that way.
Hmm.
As far as the switching gears down south, the flooding that is on its way to Dakota Dunes, North Sioux City, that area, there isn't really a whole lot that can be done about that. This is all just runoff from up north here, correct?
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, water has to go somewhere, and anyone that's been dealing with flooding issues, even around the Sioux Falls area, Laverne, or wherever, they know that water takes the path of least resistance, and that's why it will flow into the river, to the lake, and then head south. And so all our water that we've been dealing with here is heading south, and that's where it's causing additional issues and additional problems down in areas along the Big Sioux, like in North Sioux City and Sioux City, where they're going to be dealing with record flood crests in those areas. And that's why the drastic measures are having to be taken today to hopefully divert some of that water out of the Big Sioux into McCook Lake.
So that's what they're doing with the interstate overpass? They're basically using that as a levee to redirect water?
Yeah, what they're going to, I don't know exactly how they're going to do it, but it's going to be basically building an artificial dike or levee, if you will, to allow that water to be pumped out of the Big Sioux into McCook Lake, and that's why the interstate is being closed down to allow that, those actions to be taken to hopefully alleviate some or minimize the impact of the floodwaters to North Sioux City and areas to the south.
So, in your career as a meteorologist, I mean, and I'm sure you've also studied the history of weather, and big events and stuff. But like the past 5 days that we've had, can you remember a time in your career that it has been like this?
Yeah, I actually can, and it's been here in the tri-state area. I think Tornado Tuesday on June 24, 2003 was much more intense at that point in time because we were dealing with, not to say that the flood situation isn't life-threatening, but when you're dealing with tornadoes in a short period of time, and as many as we did, 67 tornadoes in an 8-hour, in an 8-hour time frame, obviously that is really stressful, and that things can happen. And so that one there, I would say, ranks in my number one all-time stressful situations. This one here, I think it ranks right up there and probably in my top 5. But when you compare that to the Tornado Tuesday, for me, on my side, on our side of the operations, that one was by far more stressful. This one here, I think this series of storms this past week, I don't know of anyone that wasn't affected by some aspect of the storms, whether or not it had been the hail, the tornadoes, the wind, or the flooding waters. Everyone has been impacted by these events, and so that's where it makes it pretty significant.
It was 67 tornadoes?
67 tornadoes in 8 hours.
Oh, my God. I didn't realize it was that many.
Me either.
Yeah, and,
how big of an area, though? Like
basically southeast South Dakota, from, Union County on up to Moody County. So it was a pretty small area where, I remember calling my wife multiple times that night at home, telling her, I hope I see you in the morning, and I hope, our house is still standing there. And again, thankfully, it was. So as bad as our situation is, we always want to say that it's the worst ever, but there have been worse cases than this. But again, that's not to minimize what everyone's going through right now. What we're going through right now is significant, and we need to take actions. And right now, at this point in time, even though the severe weather threat is decreasing, we need to remember to stay away from floodwaters. Don't go across flooded roadways. You don't know if the road's still there or not. Just stay out of the water, because people don't realize how strong that current actually is in that water.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear that, Tosh?
Yeah.
Don't drive through.
Yeah, don't
turn around, don't drown.
Right.
There you go. You got it, Tosh.
Yeah. Well, she didn't get it last year. She drove right into 49th and Louise. And,
she got something else then,
yeah,
right?
She got a different problem. Have you slept much, Todd?
Not much. Last night was the first night that I had probably about a 6-hour rest and that. But the good thing is, I'll have plenty of time to get rest. And everyone has been going through a lot of stuff and not getting much rest at all. So the good thing is, everyone, we've gotten through this without any deaths or any significant injuries. So that's where we can say, good job, everyone.
Yep. All right, Todd Heitkamp, National Weather Service. Appreciate you taking some time this morning for us, Todd.
Hey, anytime, guys. Take care.
You bet. Have a good one.